Welcome to this lecture video on the epithelial tissues. This is a second video in a series. This is the last video. If you want to see the rest of the epithelial tissues, just please look at the first video in this series on my channel. Alright, the first tissue that we want to look at is stratified squamous epithelium. Please remember that stratified means that it is multiple layers. Squamous tells you the type of cells, and the epithelial tells you the major tissue type. It is a tissue for lining. Now, in the stratified squamous, it is going to help protect against abrasion and friction. Those multiple layers allow the cells to slough off so that they can be replaced, and it thereby provides protection. It has multiple cell layers. Only the deepest is in direct contact with the basement membrane, that is on the basal side. The apical side is the cells that have the squamous shape. Those are the ones that are used to recognize those through a microscope as being squamous cells. The basal cells have more of a cuboidal shape. In that basal layer, next to the basement membrane, you will have the stem cells. These are the cells that are continuously dividing, that are going to replace the cells that you lose from the apical surface. It exists in two main forms. It is the non-keratinized form and the keratinized form. The first, non-keratinized, the cells are alive all the way to the tissue's apical surface. They have visible cell nuclei in all layers, and they are kept moist with secretions, for example, saliva and or mucus. They do lack keratin. Keratin is a protective protein that is found within these cells, and they are typically found as lining in places such as the oral cavity, the pharynx, esophagus, and the vagina and anus. The keratinized cells are different in that the cells at the apical surface, they are the superficial layer, are all dead cells, and these cells lack nuclei. They are filled with keratin. Keratin helps provide the strength in those cells and some other properties. The cells in the basal region next to the basal membrane are going to be pushed or migrate toward the apical surface, and as they rise toward the apical surface, those cells are filled with keratin, and as the keratin accumulates in the cells, that causes them to die. These are the cells that are found in the epidermis. Next, we have stratified cuboidal. Stratified again meaning many layers. Cuboidal is the shape of the cell, and we are still in the epithelial tissue. They contain two or more layers of cuboidal cells. The superficial cells, those cells at the apical surface, are cuboidal in shape. They are a mainly protective function. They can form the walls of ducts of most exocrine glands, for example, the sweat glands. They are going to strengthen the walls of the gland ducts, and you can also find them in some sections of the male urethra. Here is stratified columnar. It is two or more layers of cells. The cells at the apical surface have a column shape. They are longer than they are wide. They are used for protection and secretion. They are found in the large ducts of salivary glands. They are also found in the membranous segment of the male urethra, and they are relatively rare. There is few places in the body that they are actually found. Now, the main difference between simple epithelial and stratified epithelial is that the simple epithelial is better designed for diffusion, absorption, and secretion, simply because it's more efficient, because it's thinner than the stratified epithelium, whereas the stratified epithelial are mostly bettered for protective functions, while some will have some secretory functions. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if it helped.